what I'm about to show you might kill you. Just so you know.
Not sure I want to look.
As you can see here, it is a cute little baby husky, one cute little cat, and for frightening to some mothers, a rat. It's a hamster though. And don't be fooled by the cuteness though, because with animals such as you see here, there are responsibilities that accompany this. And I have a story about a friend who didn't take any consideration towards his pet at all. He had a little pit bull. Yeah, it was a girl, roughly like 2 years old. And he wouldn't pay for vaccines, he wouldn't buy food, no water, small environment, poor little animal. I don't know how she survived for that long. And I'm pretty sure you've all seen a husky or a cat or some sort of animal. If you think a little lizard is cute, that too, and you've always wanted it. You'd like pull your mom's hair, like tell her that you wanted it and all that stuff. But you need to realize that there are responsibilities, and you need to care for this animal like you care for a human being. And those three very specific responsibilities are providing a sustainable environment so that it may survive. Also providing food and water, and of course realizing its health conditions. Make sure your pet is healthy and well fed and all. All right, yeah. This is what could happen if you don't take care of your pet. You realize that that adorable, cute little pet you saw at the pet store is no longer a cute, adorable little pet. Yeah, it's cute little things. All right, as you can see here, this is an environment, a wide open space for a dog in particular. And the quote that I have from Redford G. Davis in her book, Caring for Family Pets, is freedom of discomfort is providing or suitable environment, including shelter and a comfortable resting area. Now, dogs need their space more than any other animal would have. They're probably one of the biggest pets that you can own, in contrast to some other pets that you should not have as a pet. Dogs need to be familiar with their space. They need to feel safe. They can't feel threatened. They really need a lot of room to stretch and just run around and play around. Maybe not for a little puppy, but as they start to get older, their space starts to expand. And another quote from Davis as well is that freedom to express normal behavior is providing sufficient space and proper facilities and company the animal's own kind. And sometimes not all pets need this. Sometimes they need cages, such as a bird cage right here, or a hamster cage right here. And it doesn't particularly harm the animal, much as it contains it so that way you can't hurt it and it won't hurt you. Such as a hamster, you don't want a hamster running around, or you want a bird flying around the house, crapping all over the place. That's not right. And such as tanks, also tanks for reptiles are good too, because a snake no one would feel safe with a snake roaming around their house. All right, being financially stable is a good place to start if you want to buy food or water, such as you see Blue Wilderness for dogs. I saw from one of the best brands according to Petco, and same from the vegetable mix for reptiles, also according to Petco. And this costs about roughly $9 to $45 depending on the pound, and this one is particularly more cheaper because it's a reptile food. This is around like $3. And a quote from Michael J. Dodson in Understanding Dog-Human Relationships is that a dog owner may spend as much as $15,000 over the life of a dog if all such services are purchased. Now that's only dogs specifically. Other than dog food, you might have a certain type of entertainment you want to provide your pet with, such as a toy. Right here shown is a model figure from Simon Hausman, and this is called the Shredder toy. I thought it was a really good example to show you guys, and it's a self-made toy. You can make it yourself with little rubber parts, and he explains that if one extremity is damaged or destroyed, the pet can still chew on the remains. So you're saving a lot of money with making your own toy, and even if it's all bitten up, it's still good use to the pet. And moving on from the food side is the dog's health. Vet checkups on the average dog visits. The average dog visits the vet twice as often as does the average cat, according to Dotson. And owners are advised for vet checkups for dogs at least 3 to 4 weeks till it's 16 weeks old. Most animals might not need as much checkups as dogs or cats do. But it is still important for a pet to see a vet when advised to. As you see here, these are vets that are healing a damaged bird. It's a bird's wings, and as you see in this photo, it's a iguana. I think saw in a magazine that they were helping it walk because one of its legs were injured. And also, with health conditions, you want to make sure that your animal is you are certified to own that animal, so that way you are responsible for handling expenses and treating the animal with love and care. And actually, a cool little fact is that according to the LA Animal Services, it's that sometimes the licenses are just to identify guardians of lost animals or a certificate proving that it's yours. So that way, if it's lost or something, it can be given back to the owner. Alright. I have a personal experience with a dog. I also have a pit bull that's 2 years. It's a girl. And it was at least $250 to $300 of expenses I spent for all 3 of her vaccines. And according to Dotson as well, is that pet owners are spending more money on their preventative health care, such as better nutrition, supplements, and dental work. And what that means is that we care more, or most owners care more about their pets than they do their own health. And these owners probably see cheaper vets. And an example of a cheap vet or a more affordable veterinarian is the Bristol Memory Animal Clinic, and it offers vaccines for animals such as low as $8. One other type of health condition is exercise, specifically for dogs. You want to walk your dog for at least 5 minutes it is advised to walk your dog at least 5 minutes or more, just small brisk walks, even if it's just to get the mail. And Also, for health conditions, there weren't really a lot for other animals other than dogs, and dogs need more exercise than most animals do. A good example of giving exercise to your pet is to take them to dog parks. For dogs, cat parks don't exist. So, yeah, as you can see here, these dogs are roaming free, just running around, having fun. Whereas this one's with their owner, probably having a brisk walk. And in conclusion, it is best to know when it's time and when it's ready for you to own a pet, because sometimes you might forget things, and you have to know that you have to take so much consideration for a pet, as they are part of the family if you accept them to be. And I'll end you with a quote with Uncle Ben, and he says, "With great power comes great responsibility."
All right, James, what did you think?
I thought in the beginning, you definitely caught my attention. One, with the story, because I feel like everybody likes pets, so the town's like, they get attention getter. Pets are cool. And then the picture too. So it was all, that's a cool thing. I thought you had pretty good information. You cited a good amount of things, which was cool. I thought your topic made sense. You made it really clear that you're specifically talking about dogs a little bit more than everything else, but you still kind of mentioned that there were other things for other animals. I thought your visuals were cool. Your visuals were pretty cool. It pretty much made sense with what you were talking about. They were related. And then at the end, I like the quote, "Big Spider-Man" at the end. So you got my I think overall, it was pretty good. I thought you looked at your notes a lot, and you kind of looked at the screen, you're speaking to the screen. I think a lot of us already did that. It's a learning experience. We're kind of getting there. And I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I like the joke at the beginning and the attention device. I thought that worked well. And the transition to the issue of being responsible I thought was pretty effective, although I'm a little held in suspense because I never know what happened to your friend's dog after the period of time that they had it, and they weren't very responsible. It kind of irritates me and makes me want to beat on them a little bit, and that's not right. I thought you had a very good preview at the beginning of the speech, setting up what it was that you were going to talk about, but I didn't think that you kind of kept that up in the body of the speech. There aren't very clear signposts of those points as you get to them, and the transitions need to be a lot smoother. And after you got to a particular point where you were talking about how much money you might have to be spending on some things, it just seemed like everything else was being presented in a very random order. So I think that there was a structure for the first maybe 2/3 of the speech, and then you get to the last third and it just feels like things are falling apart a little bit. I did hear several source citations, so I thought that that was something to appreciate. It did seem like you had some research content to the presentations. The visuals are sometimes connected to what you're talking about. Sometimes they just are random pieces of cute animal pictures with little memes on them, and I appreciated that. But I think that they need to be integrated more consistently into the presentation, and I think you'll recognize when you watch your videos, you get a little bit stuck on a couple of places where you're going back and forth between the same slides, and you're not really using them, they're just background information and they're distracting while that's going on. So you want to be careful about that. Less is probably the better idea there, maybe 3 or 4 things instead of as many as you had, because there's a lot of distraction there. And it can be a lot more effective when you are in control of what you're talking about. One of the things that I think is very strange, and James mentioned it, and other people have done the same sort of thing. People start talking to the screen, and you don't have a whole bunch of information on the screen. You mostly have pictures on the screen, so I don't know what it is you're looking at. You've seen these pictures before, so it was a little bit more odd. I mean, I can see when somebody has data on the screen and they're going to the screen to remind themselves of a statistic that they've got or a quote that they're using, something like that. But yours are all just pictures, and there were several times when not only are you standing sideways when you're presenting it, you literally have your back to the audience. You just turn around and just start talking to the screen, and we can't hear you very well. So this is practice. I can tell this is one of those things where you have the idea, you probably put it together, but you didn't get as much practice on it as you needed to because it's just not flowing together. By the way, it's 11 minutes and 11 seconds, so it's also, about 40% overtime, which suggests that you needed to know your material a little bit more and have a little bit more energy in the presentation too. All right, thank you.